Of course, the big one today being we got some Budweiser, Dale Earnhardt Jr. number 8 news. Didn't know it would be quite as big a story as it has become. I didn't know it meant like I guess as much as it was going to mean to people. I don't know if that's just part of just doing this every day and getting jaded a little bit. But when the news broke, a lot of people cared about it. Huge in the Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan community. But of course, let's get to the news first before we get into all that. Teresa Earnhardt, of course, owned the trademark to the number 8. So for or to the font of the number 8 that Junior ran. Junior obviously ran the 8 in the Xfinity Series after he retired at JRM. But it wasn't the same font. Teresa owned the intellectual property to that, and recently she let that intellectual property, that trademark, she just let it go. And because she let it go, Dale Jr. was able to purchase that particular intellectual property, and now he has the font for that number 8. So the big question became, okay, when does he actually going to be able to use the property, and when he gets the property, what is he going to be able to do with it? And we find out that he is going to run it on November 23rd at Florence, South Carolina, and it's going to be on a late model. And that's kind of big news. But the bigger news is the sponsor that is coming back with him. Because, of course, when he came to the Cup Series, his sponsor was Budweiser. He ran the Budweiser car in the Cup Series. And that was a huge deal for sure. So his first sponsor in the Cup Series, now the first sponsor back with the font, the same font, number 8, in the late model series is going to be Budweiser. Also, car looks amazing if you haven't seen it yet. So pretty cool to just sort of put a bookend on it as far as that goes. But it is a big deal to people, and part of the reason it is a big deal to people is because some of the nostalgic feelings you have with that Budweiser car. 17 wins at DEI, most if not all of them with that Budweiser scheme or a alternate scheme, but also Budweiser on the hood of it. And of course, the biggest one being the 2001 Pepsi 400, Firecracker 400, whatever you want to call it, Coke 400, whatever it was back then. He wins that race the same year that he lost his dad. So, and that was a special paint scheme when he won that one as well. And then, of course, the Daytona 500 in 2004, he won in that as well. And then, you've got the other 15 or so wins he's got in the Budweiser car. So a lot of great memories, a lot of things flooding back for a lot of people. So huge news as far as that goes. Like I underestimated it. Some people actually had told me about it at Wilkesboro. They said, don't say anything about it. But he's gonna bring that car back. So I was like, okay. I mean, at the time I was like, okay, no problem. I don't think I think it'll be. At the time I was like, it'll be kind of a big deal, but I didn't think it would be quite as big a deal as it has sort of snowballed into and become. Because when I woke up this morning, uh, there was at least 2 or 3 videos already with the 8 talking about the 8 power paint scheme. So obviously, meant a lot to a lot of people. So good deal that he's bringing that back. The other news that kind of broke today, changing gears here. Frankie Muniz announces that he is going to run full time with the Remy brothers, and that is the poll question. Do you think in the Truck Series? Do you think he will get a win next season? And go ahead and vote on that now, because I'm going to take that poll question down in just a minute when I transition here into what I'm talking about next. So vote on that now, because I'm going to transition it to something else, which I think will be just a funnier poll question. But he has run late models. He's done pretty good in late models. He ran in ARCA, and if you look at his stats in ARCA, they're not that bad. And before that, actually, he ran some open wheel, which was interesting because I'd forgotten that he ran open wheel. His first 2 years of open wheel, not necessarily anything to write home about. Did finish 11th his second year. His last year at open wheel, Atlantic Championship open wheel is what he was running. He ran for Team Stargate Worlds. He didn't run the full season, finished 9th in points, left 3 races on the board, but he did have finishes of 6th, 8th, 7th, 7th, 10th, 8th, 8th, 4th, and 10th. So he had a great season, left a few on the board, but he really put it together. So it showed you in 3 seasons, he improved his racecraft significantly, because that 9th easily would have been, I'm saying, at least a top 5 in points if he had run the whole season. But then you jump down to 2023 in the ARCA Menard series, where he finished 4th overall in points, and he had some great runs here as well. 11th at Daytona, 6th at Phoenix, ninth at Talladega, 8th at Kansas, 6th at Charlotte, 6th at BLN. I'm not sure. Elkhart, he got a 16th there, so that's going to be his low finish. The lowest finish in all of ARCA was 16th. Then you got a 6th, a ninth, a 21st, or I said 21st. I missed that one. A 5th at Michigan, 11th at IRP, 16th at the Glen, 7th, and then you got a 12th, an 18th, a 23rd, a 10th, and an 8th. So pretty good racecraft. He took his late model experience and it translated pretty well. He also got a ninth uh, at Talladega as well. I don't know. This is a weird statistic. A 12th. Here we go. He ran in 2024 one race for the Remy brothers, also in the ARCA Menard series, where he finished 12th as well. But now flip it and going to the truck series where he did make a few starts last year for the Remy brothers. Not anything to write home about, not a great deal of success. 31st at Nashville and 29th at Kansas to go with his starts for Joey Gase Motorsports in 2024 in the Xfinity Series. Also nothing to write home about. Where Daytona 33rd, Phoenix 30th, and Portland International Raceway he DNQ'd. So not necessarily the results at the next level he wanted, but he hasn't had a full season, and it is hard to jump into these and just run a few races. So him running next year in the Craftsman Truck Series, I think he's going to have a lot of good results. I think he's really going to improve his racecraft. I'm on the fence. I don't know if he gets a win or not, but I think it's going to be close. I think he's going to have some really good finishes. I think it'll be very similar to sort of his open wheel deal in his first year in ARCA Menards. I think you're just going to see a lot of top tens, but I think he is going to threaten for a win. And I think if the opportunity presents itself, he will have a chance to win. But it's going to be a toss up. He's in decent enough equipment. Remy Brothers race, nothing to sneeze at. Not necessarily in the elite of the elite equipment, but still in pretty good equipment. So I think he's going to be pretty good there. So that was an interesting deal for sure. 38 years old, Woodridge, New Jersey native. So now we have another guy whose every race will be their home track because we got another New Jersey native to go along with Martin Truex Jr. Woodridge, New Jersey native, home track. Every track is his home track. So we can keep that joke going as well. And of course, the other news coming out today is that Jimmie Johnson is going to run again in 2025 for Legacy Motor Club. And this is the one I really didn't want to talk about, but a 7-time champion, like there's nothing he needs to hang his head about, but the finishes, and part of it is the team, but the finishes since he's come back from retirement: 31st at Daytona in 2023, 38th at COTA, 37th at Charlotte, withdrew from the race at the Circuit of Americas. Of course, that was a horrible situation. We understand why he did that there. 2024, 28th at Daytona, 29th at Texas, 28th at Dover, 38th at Kansas, 29th at Charlotte, Indy 33rd, Kansas 36th, 28th at Las Vegas. So since returning to the Cup Series, his best finish with Legacy is 28th. Now, you can point your finger, and obviously a lot of this has been because he's qualified poorly and he's gotten into some wrecks in the back of the field. But the other thing you really need to look at is Legacy Motor Club, despite showing really signs of life last year, they ran better last year without any alliance to any manufacturer than they are running this year with an alliance to Toyota, because this year, of all the cars that have made all the starts in the races, the 43 and the 42, Eric Jones obviously missed 2 races, but the 43 and the 42 are last in points. 423 points for John Hunter Nemechek, 468 points for Eric Jones, who has missed 2 races. But they're both 33rd and 34th in points. It has been an absolutely abysmal year for Legacy. So it's hard to get excited for Jimmie Johnson coming back in 2025 when overall Legacy has been an absolute dumpster fire. And I hate to say that because I'm going to pull for the 43 car as long as the 43 car is on track. But man, it has been just absolutely abysmal. I mean, they showed a lot of signs of life, and you really thought with some manufacturer help this year that they would be good. But last year they showed signs of life without any manufacturer help, really. And this year, with manufacturer help, they've been absolutely worse in every statistical category possible. They have been worse. And Jimmie Johnson, he's making these starts, I guess, to bring in money, and that money is going to help, but you have to allocate that money to places where it's going to help. And it just looks like the whole thing has been mismanaged thus far, and you have to put some of that blame on Jimmie Johnson. as he is one of the owners of the organization now. And you've just seen so much turnover since Jimmie Johnson came in. Hopefully it works out for him next year, but it's hard to get excited about Jimmie Johnson, even though he's a 7-time champion, even though he's a lot of people's favorite driver, even though he's a lot of people's least favorite driver. It's really hard to get excited about it when legacy has just been that abysmal. And I hate to say it because like it's just bad. It's just been so bad this year. But hopefully they get it going in the right direction, and hopefully it all works out for them. But yeah, great. In normal situation, this would be great news. But tonight, not so much. What's up, Lanes? What's up, Rosie? Hope you're doing good. Evening, everyone. Would love to see Frankie win a race. I think that would be huge, man. Like as far as crossover stuff and things like that goes, if Frankie Munoz won Muniz, I keep saying I want to say Munoz because Mark Munoz used to be a really good tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I always want to say Munoz. Frankie Muniz. If Frankie Muniz can get a win, I think that would be great because it would be this big crossover thing. It would kind of be like if you remember all the way back in the day to Paul Newman. Paul Newman, the great actor. If you watched the Cars movie, he was, I think, Doc in Cars. It would be equivalent to Paul Newman winning when he won his races in IMSA and stuff like that. It'd be huge crossover fandom watching for that. So I think it would be a great thing if he can pull one off, even